so there are some situations where I have seen in the past where it creates conflict, where borderline can create conflict when it comes down to, how I understand it, is irritability within the person, and they'll maybe recognize that they're irritable, but the way that they react to people is short, or maybe even misinterpret what the person actually means by what they're saying. Sometimes it's about, with this particular person that I'm thinking of, it was difficult for them to receive honesty in any form. And this person was ambitious, this person had a certain moral code, but with people who disagreed with that, they would get really upset to the point of being argumentative or wanting to fight. If they felt like they wanted to do something, they wanted that person to do it with them, they would get irritated if the person didn't. And if you were to ask them to explain, it would usually be about why it's about them and it's not a logical or rational reason. This is what I would see. And so in her recognizing over her 20s that this is actually not just normal irritability, not everybody feels irritability like that, not everybody's bothered if the friend doesn't want to party with them, or doesn't want to go and see a movie, or doesn't want to go to Drakensberg for the holiday. People on average would be like, okay, if you don't want to go, it's chill. Then I'll see you when I get back. But she would actually get upset over these things. And it's interesting because I thought it was strange, but I didn't know what it was. And it was one of the 9 aspects. And she was somebody who did sit with about 7 of those aspects. But it usually showed up in her relationship with her friends and in her relationship with her sister. It wasn't something that really showed up in her grades or in her ambition. It was something where maybe she wouldn't ask questions that she needed to ask, so it would stall her decision making in her future plans. But so that would have been one of the signs in her process. But the thing is that you do get that with anybody, really. We're not born with the knowledge. We basically learn about what kind of questions we need to be asking for a situation for the person that we are. So for example, I'm not somebody who's completely extroverted that will go around and get as much information about everybody at the party. I'm social, but if I see that somebody looks sad, I'm not going to walk up to them if I don't know them and find out why they're sad. I would build a relationship with them first. So the fact that she didn't ask certain questions in certain situations wouldn't have been a sign for me that something's not right in her development. But what it ended up being was that the psychiatrist said this can be seen as a sign that it hasn't occurred to you. So it's like emotional stagnation, that it hasn't, and like maturity, it hasn't occurred to you that you need to be asking this question, and that for your age is not right. But it's okay. It's not a negative thing. What it is that you're aware of the fact that you need to learn to be asking questions. You need to learn to be doing this or doing that. So she would get advice on how to handle it. And this is what I'm trying to say. That even if you are sitting with serious depression and you need to be on medication for it, and you need to be seeing a therapist once a week, do that. Get help. Tell people who love you, 1 or 2 people who love you, and that's it. Further than that, nobody else needs to know if you struggle with certain mental illness, unless you're hurting people. If you're hurting people intentionally, vindictively, sadistically, then it's going to become a problem. But it's the same thing as having diabetes and having to take medication for it, and having to choose not to eat sugar when everybody else is eating sugar, for example, or having to choose the way that you eat and the way, because for example, there's a lot of sugar then and also in alcohol. So if you were to go out, maybe you need to choose not to have alcohol, right? Maybe it would be part of the diet you have to choose, and you can get marked for that. And then do you go around telling everybody that you have diabetes, or do you keep it to yourself and just pretend that it's fine? They don't need to know why you're not drinking alcohol. So the thing is with that, is that's what I'm trying to say. The doctor would say to you, this and this and this is how you manage it. And that's okay. There is a lot of impulsivity, so this does depend on the person and where they're impulsive. But basically what they're saying is that you would be impulsive in more than 2 different situations or aspects. So with your thinking and in, for example, the way that you would debate a topic. So the person I'm talking about is a lawyer, and she likes to debate stuff, and that's perfect. It's fine that she likes to debate stuff. But sometimes when you're debating things, you can't always hear what the other person is saying, and so you just wanted to cluck back. And you think you have the evidence that you have to cluck back. So the thing is that this was one of the areas that the psychiatrist considered impulsive, because you're not listening to what the other person is saying, and you're just clucking back to have an answer, to win. And so she had 3 areas where she was seen as impulsive, where the psychiatrist said these could be 3 areas where you would be considered impulsive.